When I came home, my friend was in the apartment, surrounded by kids from my college buying Coke from the delivery service. I said to the guy, "What are you going to give me for free?" And he gave us 2 bags of heroin. I think I wanted to be high all the time.
David Manheim. You just asked me what we're doing. Ask me what we're doing. You just asked me. David Manheim here is recording in here. Is ask me what we're doing. Here is recording in here. Record this intro with you. You record this intro with you. Here is you pretend like you care. Here is you go. Okay. Why here?
Why is that important? Why is that? Nothing I've ever done has been important to you before. Why is that starting now? Why is that starting for? Why is that starting now?
No, what you do is in fact very important. No, why is in fact it's in fact the reason why very important. It's in fact the reason ceasing operations. Ceasing
important to you before. Why it's important to you before.
Here it is. This show started about a year and a half. And here years. We started it on my 11th, 12th years on my 11th, 12th year. And it's been really super meaningful. I've really super meaningful. Conversations I've had with everyone. Conversations I've had with everyone. DMC to conversations I've had with all conversations I've sat at the table. But sat at the table. When I lived Dopey, and I lived Dopey, think about the community. Think how important it is to you. How important it is to make your show the biggest thing going, and and your fans. It's really inspiring, and it's beautiful. It's really and it doesn't do a thing for me. And in terms of what I want to be doing with my time, I want to be doing of what I want to be doing. Of what I want. It's fair. Of what feel like it's fair, or feel like it's for too much. Feel spending time on something that I don't want to give myself to myself in the way that I see you doing. I have started doing it. Hoping to enroll in a PhD program to get my doctorate in doctorate in psychology, forensic specialty, prison forensic specialty, and that's what's got my passion in my heart. That's what's got my passion in my heart. So soberness is transitioning. Soberness is from what it's been over to live events, over to story hour, over story hour, live called story hour or so, do some stories or so. The first of which is this March 13th, March 27th, which is Friday, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And that's what's thank you for being such a thank you for being such a should be creating such a beautiful Dopey and Dopey community with Dopey. I'm a devotee. I'm a Dopey devotee. I'm a Dave Manheim. That's my whole story. A Dave Manheim.
Well, never say never, first of all. Most importantly, is you do what makes you happy. Certainly, I felt some kind of weird backhanded compliment in there, but I'll take it as a front-handed.
But not backhanded. The front-handed is you're awesome and you're doing great. Great.
Oh no! The thing you were like, I would never want to do what you're doing. Because
you're doing it great, and I can't do it great. And if I was going to do it great, and if Manheim, but you do it. Not that we're competing. I'm just saying when I saw what you do and how you do it. There's another podcast. And how you do it. There's another Locked In with Ian Bick, and he did some time in prison, and he's the people who've been involved. I can't get enough of that guy. How calm he is, how even he keeps it. He lets the conversations breathe. And when I hear it, wow, I really want to be doing what he's doing. You know, I really want to be doing what celebrity journalist for 20 years. It's a long time. 20 years, and it's plenty. And can you hear Siri talking in my ears? Siri talking. That was crazy. Shh. She said there's nothing called ears on your calendar. Siri, shut it. Okay, so when I listen to you guys, I'm like, they're doing so great, and I just don't feel that drive to do it. You know, I've been a broadcaster for so long. I have loved it. Doing Soberness allowed me to come back in and out on my own terms, which I didn't get to do in my last show, Talk Stoop. So and out, in and out. It's been great. But what turns me on now is studying for school. What turns me on is the recovery meetings I bring into prison. Broadcasting light me up in the same way, and I think you got to be lit up, or else you're not bringing your best self to whatever you're doing. Or I'm speaking for myself there.
You need to have fun. You need to want to do what you're doing. And if you don't want to do what you're doing, then you need to figure out what you want to do and do that. But I think everything that I've ever experienced with you has always been stellar. Everybody that I know that listens to you can't get enough of you. They will miss you. I love that you come to our Wednesday morning meetings. We're starting this new thing, which I have you on my list of people that I want as the anchors of it. It's going to be like this kind of like our Wednesday thing, but a show. Like if the Wednesday thing was a show with like 10 people, and you're one of my 10.
Great, I love it. Let's do it.
I figured I spoke for you. I also want you to come back whenever you'll come back. Listen, I think the most important thing anyone can do is like serve what they want to do. I mean, it sounds so stupid, but you need to do what you want, and then hope that what you want aligns with helping people. But I know, like, you're all about that. So it's like I never made Dopey to help anybody. Helping people became the secondary characteristic of Dopey. I made Dopey the same way you wanted to be a celebrity journalist. I wanted to have a talk show. So I did that. And now I also love recovery. And I love, like, I mean, that Wednesday meeting came out of, we had a sponsor that wanted me to host Zooms for them. And I didn't realize that I would like it, but it turned into something that I really enjoyed, and I have fun with it. And I know that you have such a zest for life and a joie de vivre and a hungry mind. And like, I know, like, and I don't think you're going to be retired from this stuff for too long.
No.
You'll find your angle, and also like to speak like a little inside baseball. Like, you have much more of a team than I do. Like, you have a like I do most of it just like on my own, and it's very like hobbyist shit. And I suggest. Well, you don't. It's cheaper this way. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's very no kidding. But I really appreciate everything nice you said, and you know how I feel about you, and I know only good things are gonna come.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel great about it. I'm really excited about what's going on. I hope people will come. I hope people will come to the Algonquin every 3 or 4 months or so. And it's just going to be all about storytelling. Sorry, I want to go back to one thing you just said. You said before, you really got into recovery. I'm not really into recovery, if I'm honest. I love being sober for myself, but I felt like in the role of the host of Soberness, was like telling people to do it like I did it. Do it like I find recovery to be so personal and so bespoke. And my way of doing it is just my way. So anyway, I didn't love it with the zest that you love it. I love it with the zest that way, though. Funny thing, huh?
What does bespoke mean exactly? Tailored to a person,
Yeah, like a bespoke suit.
I love that word.
Right? You do bespoke recovery. I mean, everyone really does, I guess. Recovery. Anywho, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being the second time, and now this is our third. This is our third together. Ladies and gentlemen, up now is the final Soberness podcast episode with my friend Dave Manheim, host of his own fantastic called Dopey. Take all your soberness ears and send them over to Dopey.
Namaste, Cat Greenleaf.
Oh my God, wait, the vacuum just started, which is amazing to me because it was totally silent until this guy who's got a total stick up his ass about the sound at the Algonquin, and then they start with the vacuum. It's just like, it can't get better.
The Algonquin is a beautiful hotel. It's a landmark in New York City.
Yes, it is.
But it is a horrible place to do a podcast. It doesn't make any sense.
You do your podcast
Do it in a
childhood bedroom.
Get a room.
His
Get a room.
childhood bedroom.
Yeah.
He's in his 40s. It's
50s.
creepy.
I'm in my 50s.
Are you?
Yeah.
How old are you?
51.
51?
Yeah.
You don't look a day over 40s.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
You're so
That
welcome.
really goes a long way.
Well, so my first question was going to be, why did you want to come back?
I don't remember wanting to come back.
Fantastic.
What's
Okay.
the second question?
The second question is, I actually, because last time our whole interview was this, I don't know anything about you.
Well, that's
I
why
don't know what your life was like before you became an addict. I don't know anything. So can we start there? What was your life like before it went cuckoo?
Well, I grew up in New York City.
I know I've been in your childhood bedroom, and that sounds gross, but it's only because I did his podcast. making it gross. Continue.
A couple times.
Yep.
You came to the room.
I've come twice.
She's come twice in my father's apartment.
Disgusting. I'm sorry. His father's an octogenarian. It's gross.
Anyway, when I was a kid, I went to, I grew up in a middle-class Jewish household.
Yeah.
And I went to public school on the Upper East Side, and I was really into TV and hanging out with my friends and that kind of stuff. And I didn't become an addict until I was in college when I got into weed, and that wasn't such a big deal. It wasn't until I got into TV production that it all went bad for me.
Why?
I mean, when I started smoking pot in the first place, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything about it, and I didn't have a day without weed from, I don't know, 19 till 41, unless I was institutionalized. And I fell in love with, I think you and I have a lot in common. We both love, I love foreplay, but besides that, we have a lot in common. We both love music. We both love entertainment, movies, TV, all this kind of stuff. And for me, stonerdom was very much embedded in all that stuff. And I found that when I smoked weed, I was kind of who I wanted to be. Like, I was an anxious, neurotic, nervous person. And when I smoked pot, I found that I didn't care. And I really liked that. And I also, right?
Oh, God, that's just nice. Not caring.
Right. And I wound up, I always wanted to have a talk show on TV. That was my lifelong dream. And I wound up working at a production company that was owned by Broadway Video, and I became a host on there. I was a PA, and I wound up becoming a host. And I wound up pitching to produce a music video show for them. But then KRS-One was playing live at Tramps, and I was like, what if we do a live segment? And they're like, okay. So we went and we shot KRS-One at Tramps, and I interviewed him, and they were like, you know what, why don't you just do whatever show you want, and we'll keep the music video show separate. So I started shooting vans around the city, and the show wasn't great. It was like an elevated public access show in New York City, but it was cool, and they thought I was really talented, and they gave me a great
You're not that
contract.
talented because you keep putting your hand in front of your face and the camera's
Thank you.
there.
They gave me a good contract, and at the time, I had a very close friend who, I was living in a studio in Chelsea. It's like, you see where my parents live, right?
Yep.
So when I was 11, it's like low-income housing. When I was 11, my mother put me on the list to
Yeah.
get an apartment.
Like a Rachel Lama.
Yeah. And when I was 21, I got the apartment. And it was a studio apartment with an eat-in kitchen and a changing room, and it was $300 a month, and it was
Yes.
huge.
Amazing.
And the woman who had taught me how to please women cheated on me, and I was totally heartbroken. And I moved my friend into the apartment, and him and I did a ton of drugs.
Yeah.
And he started delivering weed around the city, and he started finding like all the places to get coke, and we found a drug delivery service called Indulge.
Okay.
At the same time, before I had become a producer at the TV company, I was a location scout for them.
Okay.
And I went to Michigan State University with this company to find kids to be on a talk show. When I came home, my friend was in the apartment, surrounded by kids from my college buying coke from the delivery service. I said to the guy, what are you going to give me for free? And he gave us 2 bags of heroin. And I found that where weed made it very easy for me to not give a shit, heroin was even more effective at not giving a shit. And for a couple years, I did it very sparingly. And when I got that deal, when I became a producer and I got this deal, I was like, maybe I could pull this off. When in reality, and Miles Davis and John Lennon and Steven Tyler and all these people with millions of dollars couldn't pull it off. How was I going to do it?
Right. Well, because confidence.
Well,
Confident man.
I think I wanted to be high all the time.
What's up, Sober Cobras? This is Kat Greenleaf reminding you that if you like what you're hearing, head on over to our website, soberness.com, because there is so much more.
What were you running from?
I don't know. To this day, it's you can answer that question based on what you discover in therapy or doing 12-step work or whatever. I think I'm just like a nervous, neurotic person, and I need it. And it's like the perfect storm. It's like, how does addiction come? And everybody can have their own answer. And I think for me, it's a myriad of circumstances that created this situation. And not to mention, I had a brain that loved opiates, and it just took off.
And how long did that last until you knew that this was not sustainable?
That's a great question. I was on a 3-year deal with this company, and I had made it maybe 3 months into the second year of the deal and I was paying $300 a month, and I was making a bunch of money, and I couldn't afford my rent. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I think I got on methadone, and I was like, and I still couldn't swing it because I was using on methadone.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I tell work? Do I tell my parents? What do I do? And I checked into public detox at Beth Israel Hospital on 15th Street. And I didn't tell either of them. And I had that question, and I decided to tell my parents. When I told my parents, they were like at the theater or something, and they came down to Beth Israel detox, like smelling like perfume. And I'm like, and then as soon as the TV production company found out, they fired me because I didn't tell them. So I was just in breach of contract, not showing up at work. And from there, the counselors there said, well, you're young enough that you could probably pull this off and get sober now. You'll be okay. I went home and I used straight away.
Yeah.
So like from there, I was 25 and I used heroin until I was 36. 37.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a run.
I know.
You're like the bionic man.
It was
withstood a lot.
It was a lot of methadone. I had a girlfriend who took care of me for years in California. Like it wasn't a glamorous run. And for most of the time I would do like very little heroin, and I was on huge doses of methadone and benzos and stuff.
And when you looked around your life and said, God, I really just wanted to be a talk show host, and I blew this deal and whatever, and now 10 years down the road, I'm still, doped up in this bedroom. Did you have flashes?
I had a talk show. I had a production career. I lost it when I was 25. I wound up I was kind of bullshitting around New York. I got a job at MTV2. I made a show for MTV2. Jason Schwartzman was the host, and I was the director. I was a disaster. It was like the Norah Jones, John Mayer breakthrough year on MTV. They were in the show. And I wound up finishing that show, getting fired from MTV2, walking around the office. I don't know if you've ever been to MTV offices.
I sure have.
I walked around the offices. I stole every CD off every desk. I filled up shopping bags. I went to St. Mark's Place and sold all the CDs. Within a year, I was sent to Florida to go to rehab for a year.
Who sent you there?
My parents. They wouldn't pay the $300 rent, so I lost my cheap apartment. And from there, I moved to California to move in with the guy who had lived in my apartment when I was doing all that stuff. He told me he had stopped doing heroin. What he didn't tell me is he started to do meth.
Oh.
And when I got there, I started to do meth with him. I realized within a few weeks I couldn't hack it doing meth, so I started we started going to Tijuana to get pills. Then I found downtown Los Angeles, and I found heroin. And in the meantime, I had gotten a job in TV in LA. But that lasted like 6 weeks or something. I was so crazy. I was shooting heroin in the bathroom in the TV offices. Like there was a drawer, and in the middle drawer I kept needles and drugs. Yeah, I was crazy.
It was like mouthwash, maxi pads.
And then a box full of like drug. Well, I'd switched from meth to heroin. I was like so bad. Like it's crazy that you've known me in this period, this good period.
Yeah.
People don't really assume that I could have been like that. You could see it.
Yeah.
You could see it.
I mean, I can relate. So you lost job after job in the career that you loved in the name of drugs.
I just didn't want to stop. I was so addicted, and I loved getting high. I had great dreams. Like I wanted to do all sorts of things. I was thinking about doing things, but I wasn't doing the things that I was thinking about. I was on a giant dose of methadone in LA for years, And I got a call from my mom, and she told me she had leukemia and that she was going to die fairly quickly. And I was on a huge dose of methadone in Los Angeles, not working. I was there for 5 years, at least, not working.
How are you affording your rock and roll lifestyle?
It wasn't really a rock and roll lifestyle. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with a woman. She paid for everything. I basically wore a robe every day. I wandered the neighborhood like
Vinny the Tune?
trying to take. I saw myself as some kind of artist, and I would take pictures. Like I would wander around taking pictures. If you look back at the pictures, most of them were out of focus. I would find change in my couch, and I'd wander down the hill and buy ice cream sandwiches. Then I would buy more ice cream sandwiches, and I'd walk to the methadone clinic. It was like a crazy, sad life.
And who was this woman that was like, I'll just keep it going?
She thought I was very special. She thought I was very special. She was actually, and this is where it gets even worse, she was my best friend from elementary school and high school's girlfriend. And she had left him for me when I was producing TV shows. So I had this crazy guilt and shame around that, which I'm fairly certain prolonged my addiction.
I mean, you weren't so guilty that you didn't open the door and let her in.
No, I mean, it was something that I did whilst high, and then I also, I mean, I don't like talking about how I actually felt about her, but I really loved her.
Yeah.
And I wound up being with her, but hating myself for it, because my friend who was her boyfriend was like my brother. Like he didn't talk to me for 20 years or something. He wound up coming back to me after my mother died. So what happened was I found out my mother was dying from leukemia. This woman took care of me. We had a very minimal lifestyle, though. I started kicking methadone. It took me about 10 months to get off methadone. And then I moved back to the East Coast. We moved to Vermont. And I went to see my mom, and she was like, I'm going to die soon. And I realized when I got to Vermont and I was off drugs that I couldn't be with this woman anymore. And we broke up. And I moved to Manhattan because I couldn't handle living in Vermont. I moved into my parents' house for like a day. And then my friend's mother had a huge apartment on the Upper West Side, and I moved in with her. And I stopped doing heroin, and I stopped doing methadone.
For your mom?
Well, I knew that I did not want to travel the country on methadone. I didn't want to go. I knew that if I left LA on methadone, that I would stay on I would stay in this pattern forever. So I came home, and I still smoked weed, and my mom died at New York University Hospital, and I got a job at Katz's. And around the same time, I had my cousin owned half of Katz's, and I worked at Katz's when I was first year of college, last year of high school, and a little bit in high school. So
like a Nepo baby.
yes, I'm a deli Nepo baby. 100%.
But hold on, you just glossed over like kind of a big deal.
I know, I'm sorry.
You're this like 10, 15 year miasma of addiction.
Yeah.
And then like you took a flight, and the next thing you know, you're sober. There's something.
I wasn't sober. I was doing such small amounts of heroin because I was on the methadone, and I was on a lot of benzos, and I have tons of seizures. Like I had tons of seizures, grand mal seizures. I'd fall out all over the place. So before I left LA, I did a 28-day detox.
What was the still small voice letting you know that the time had come?
I knew, my life was really bad, and I knew that economically I couldn't afford to be on drugs, but I didn't want to not be on drugs. I did not want to be sober. I did not have fantasies about what a sober life would be. I wanted to stay like stoner. I thought there was potential in drugs still. I was in my early 30s, and I thought there was still potential in being high. Like I really did. And I came home, like I knew heroin. I knew that I understood the economics of heroin, and I understood my life was bad. So I didn't want to be on heroin. Methadone, even worse. Like I did not want to be chained to methadone. benzos, I had so many seizures, I didn't want to be on benzos anymore.
All right, so your 3 best friends are now out.
But I did not want to give up weed.
Okay.
I did not want to give up weed. So I wound up smoking weed at Katz's. Working at Katz's, staying a stoner. And then I met the woman who is now basically my wife. We never got married. But I had met her in college. And I had met her in that same apartment in Manhattan. She was friends with my friend who was the meth addict and lived on my floor and all these things. And when my mom died, I went out with her and we got together immediately. And within a few months, she was pregnant. And then we moved in together in Astoria, and my friend came to visit and brought heroin. And I wound up relapsing on heroin while she was pregnant. And then we had the baby, and I was basically wasn't full blown, but I was using. And then she found out when we had the baby. And
She didn't know?
No, she didn't know.
Wow.
And she just left.
Oof.
And then I went into full tail, whatever, relapse. And I was using more than I had ever used. And I got fired from Katz's.
Wow. For
And
the
that-
Nepo baby to get fired is a big deal.
Well, I was eating food off the customers' tables. I was bad. I was really bad.
Manheim.
Yeah. I know it's a dark story.
So how long, okay, so it's your wife and baby leave, and then you go into a really heavy period of musing. How long did that last?
I want to say it lasted a year or so. And I was using $300 a day. It was crazy.
Okay.
It was a crazy time.
And where are the people? Where are your parents? Where's the wife?
My
Where's
mom's
everybody?
dead.
Oh, your mom, sorry.
My mom's dead.
Yeah.
My wife, she was raising our daughter by herself with her parents. My father was deeply in grief, still to this day. He's pretty grieving all the time. He has a new girlfriend and he's doing a little bit better now, but he's so dismantled by my mother's death. And then I wound up literally going out one night. I went drinking, and I wasn't a drinker. I legitimately walked into a wall, broke my nose. Then I went out. I was seeing my daughter every week. I'd have visitation, but I'd have supervised visitation. And they saw me, and I'm high. I've got this black eye, this broken nose, totally. And I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I need to get some help. And I wound up going to treatment to where Jana works.
Yes.
Mountainside. And that's where I met Chris. And still, neither of us got sober. That was in 2011. I went home and I reached into my pocket and I found an unused needle and I was like, oh, I have to get high. And I did heroin again. And
Wow, after all of that, huh? I know, we're addicts. That's how we are.
I know usually you have fancy celebrities on here who aren't in the muck like I am.
Oh, you're the fanciest of the day.
Am I deep in the muck for you? I know.
mean, I'm into it. Listen, this is quite a story. It's so much better than you yelling at the wait staff.
I don't know. I kind of wish it was the other way around. I think it would be easier if it was the other way around.
Okay, so there you are. You got sober at Mountainside, and then you didn't.
I didn't get sober.
Okay.
I didn't.
Did you pretend to yourself that you were sober while you were there?
No, it's interesting. I was always ambivalent. It was the first place I ever went to that said, you're going to die. Every other place was kind of like, you probably have a chance, whatever. At Mountainside, they were like, you're going to die. And when I left, it was my same thing. I shot dope a couple more times. Then I was like, I want to smoke weed. But I really hated supervised visitation of my daughter. I hated it. I hated being so pathetic.
Yes.
That I needed, and my father would drive me out there, and it was so pathetic. So I said, well, what do I have to do to stop doing this? And Linda, my wife, was like, you need to show 365 days clean.
Okay.
So I went to NA, and I stopped using, and I didn't use for 365 days. I drank a few times that year, and because I wasn't an alcoholic really, and it didn't pop for drinking, and I didn't become an alcoholic, which is interesting. And I passed the drug test, and I started to get visitation I started to bring Nora to my apartment in the city. And around the same time, Hurricane Sandy happened. And for some reason, I wound up smoking weed again. And the whole time I was trying to get Linda to agree to get back together with me. And she was not interested in getting back together with me. And I was so obsessed with this failure of destroying my family. Like, you could not find me on any day without basically just talking about that. I was obsessed with it. And then around Hurricane Sandy, I started smoking weed again. And I smoked every day, but it didn't seem like a real problem. Then I did my great Last Jewish Waiter web series, which I'm sure you're aware of.
It is great. It's a favorite around here.
Everybody loves The Last Jewish Waiter. But
The Last Jewish Waiter was his talk show at Katz's, which he conducted with the customers as they were eating. It's actually very funny.
But I was smoking weed, and then Linda was like, why don't we try to go on a trip together? And we went on a trip together, and to Dutch Wonderland in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Have you ever been there?
Oh, is it real?
Yeah, it's a real, like, low-bottom amusement park. It's like the most off-brand Disney World that's ever existed.
Wonderland?
Dutch Wonderland.
So good. Okay.
And she had benzos with her to help her sleep, right? And I stole them. And she got so angry at me, and she said, you're losing custody again. And I said, okay. And I remember it was one night in August. I was so upset that this had happened, and she didn't want to get back together because I relapsed and stole her drugs on a trip when we were trying
She couldn't get to sleep.
Well, I think she did. I
She was
think
exhausted.
Yeah, I think I took a couple, and she wound up getting so upset because it was like she wanted to try to fix everything too. And
Did she just pack her wooden clogs and get out of there?
yeah, something like that. I like how you're trying to tie this into Dutch Wonderland. I think
It's the best part of the story.
so. We also stayed on a Mennonite horse farm on that trip. Just if you're really interested, and we dined in many an Amish restaurant while we were there.
Their food.
It's not great. Very plain. It's very plain food. So we wound up. I wound up writing her an email one night, begging her to let me smoke weed. Like, that was the email. It's like, I could be a good father. I could be a good partner if you just let me smoke weed. I can do this. And I was writing, and I kind of had the closest thing to a spiritual awakening that I've ever had, which was like, what the am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to? I was 41. I was like, why do I need to smoke weed? What is this about? What if I don't smoke weed? Then the next day, I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and there was some kid, like some beautiful kid who was like 28, celebrating 10 years sober. He had like tattoo sleeves, and he looked annoying. And I think I went up to him, and I was, in my memory, the way I tell the story, I don't know if this really happened or not. I went up to him and I said, it's really annoying that you have 10 years and you're so young.
You're a child, right.
And you look good and stuff. And he goes, oh, how much time do you have? And I said, nothing. And he goes, well, did you get high today? And I said, no. And he goes, well, maybe today could be your first day. And I was like, wow. I was like, maybe it could be my first day. And I went home and I had jars of weed. Like, I was like a weed connoisseur. I had a girlfriend who like was from Colorado who sold weed, and I had jars of weed and shattered and tinctures and vapes and all this shit and edibles. And I called up my friends and I was like, come over and you can have my weed. And I gave them all the weed. And the next day I found an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting at 7:30 in the morning. It was at the Y in Chinatown. And I told them how obsessed I was with my family. And I had heard that the obsession to drink would be lifted. And I wasn't obsessed with drinking.
Right.
I was kind of obsessed with weed, but at that point I was just obsessed with this family. I was obsessed. And I wanted obsession to be lifted. I wanted to find a different way to live. It was the first time that I ever really felt a need to be spiritual. Like, I had never had any kind of reason. Like, I wanted to leave my body before, but I did it through like total annihilation. At this point, I needed a way to not be obsessed. And I went to Alcoholics Anonymous, and there was an old painter from New Zealand who was like, we'd love it if you came back tomorrow. And it turned out it was a 7-day-a-week meeting at 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And I went back the next day, and they read how it works, and I had never heard how it works. And in how it works, it says they've rarely seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed these steps. And I knew I had never done anything thoroughly except use drugs.
Yep.
So I threw myself into the suggestions, and I didn't relapse again.
Hello, all you beautiful viewers and listeners. If you yourself have a great sober story or you want to celebrate your own freedom from head over to our website, Soberness.com, and tell us your tale in 300 words or less. Then I call you, we set up a time, and then we do a 10-minute interview, which will live on our website, maybe our socials, and then you'll get really, really famous, so it'll all have been worth it. That's www.soberness.com. That's a big story, Manheim.
I know.
I don't even know where to start to dive into it, except to say that it's pretty amazing that someone who is so dedicated to the dark arts had kind of on a dime, a dime that took many, many years. Flipped over, and now you're so dedicated to your sobriety. And I'm also interested to hear you talking about how you were so dedicated to AA, because I have attended a few of your Dopey meetings that are like AA
Adjacent,
right? But you're no longer orthodox to the big book or AA's things.
I'm AA. Like I am devoutly AA. I do not think everybody is, and I know that we do. It's a Patreon Zoom meeting on Wednesday mornings. I used to have a sponsor.
Oh shoot! Was I supposed to have paid to show up for that?
No, you're a guest. But what happened was I had there was a sober app called SoberBuddy, and they paid me to run Zooms for them. So I was like, can I let my patrons come to the Zooms? And they weren't looking to have an AA meeting in their SoberBuddy app. Or maybe they were. I didn't really want to have an AA meeting. I wanted to make it more like a talk show.
Yeah.
So I just like to do it like that. But I go to AA 4 days a week or something. I go to real AA.
In person?
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why'd you choose AA when it wasn't your thing?
Because I had done the other fellowship, and I didn't find it wasn't successful for me. I was so obsessed with drugs when I went to the other fellowship, and I figured in my mind when I was in treatment, I heard the obsession will be lifted from AA, and I knew I wasn't a drinker. I knew I didn't have a problem with alcohol.
Well, already then the obsession was already lifted.
Well, I needed a doorway into the spirituality, and so if I went there for the solution. I didn't go there for the alcohol or the drugs.
I got you.
Or anything. I wanted a solution to obsessive thinking.
Okay.
And 12-step is an incredible set of tools to not be obsessed about something.
Okay, how? For people who don't know why the 12 steps can help release you from obsession.
Well, it's a whole thing. It's like, and it sounds like a crazy cult.
Okay.
But the idea is basically addicts and alcoholics are very self-centered. And when we are so self-centered, we have a need to control everything. And when we have a need to control everything, we spin off into obsessive insanity. Mm-hmm. So if we can accept that we are not in charge and that there's something else in charge, and we need to try to do the next right thing to be in harmony with the universe, good things happen.
Okay. How's your spiritual life now?
It's better than it was. It's much better than it was.
And what does a spiritual life mean?
Trying to connect to something bigger than myself. Trying to recognize that I am a tiny kernel, a grain of sand on the beach. It's like spirituality is amazing because they talk about in 12-step that it's a spiritual program, and there's only a spiritual solution to this malady, this affliction. So it's like, I wasn't a spiritual person. I wasn't like a religious person. I wasn't a God person at all. But I loved spiritual music. I loved the idea of spirituality. I loved the idea of a higher power. I loved the idea of harmony in reality. And I'm a huge music fan. I'm a huge reggae fan. And when Bob Marley sings, there's a natural mystic blowing through the air. That's enough higher power for me. There's higher power in all music. There's higher power in all comedy. There's higher power in all love,
Yes.
all human relation. And there's also amazing higher power in the natural world. And I think if I decide that that's my higher power, which is my higher power is the universe, it's just that I'm a piece of this incredible, remarkable, giant cosmos.
Do you remember the show Big Blue Marble when we
No.
were growing up?
No,
Okay.
no. What is that? What is
This show about the remarkable cosmos. Continue.
And what we learn, like what I learned, like when I Google what is spirituality, it's like to be around spiritual things. And if you go to AA, they're like, you should pray, you should meditate. And you're like, how do I pray? And they're like, ask God for help. So if I don't feel comfortable with God, it's ask the universe for help. And if it's meditation, there's so many different meditation practices. And really being spiritual is about making a decision to be spiritual. It's like nothing else. It's like if Esteban wants to be spiritual, he fucking says, universe, help me be spiritual. And all of a sudden, he's a percentage more spiritual. And the more we do spiritual things, the more spiritual we are. But it's really about what we do. And it's as simple as saying, I'm going to try to be spiritual.
Yeah.
It's like you think it's about buying beads and burning incense, but that's not what it's about.
No. I love that you just said being spiritual is about what we do. My spirituality is one of action. And it is challenging for me because the group that I meditate with is very much about, it's not about do, but I find, yes, doing is how I spread my spirituality around the world, how I connect spiritually with the world, how I feel best in it. So there's many different ways to look at it, I guess. The second I start talking about myself, he glazes over. Have you noticed that?
No, I wasn't glazing. I was just listening. I was just thinking, like, what did I just say on your podcast? It's like I said a lot of crazy stuff. And also, like, I don't feel like I sponsor people and I want to help people be more spiritual. And I'm not the most spiritual person in the world, but I know that when I try to be and when I put effort into it, that I get great outcome from it. And it makes me uncomfortable to talk about in some kind of way. And I think when you started talking about it because you're much more, you say namaste, you do spiritual shit that I don't fucking do. And I feel like a little impostery in the mix.
No, and I would say, I think you have a very healthy spiritual practice in this world. I don't mean healthy like good for you. I mean healthy like robust. The meetings that you hold. So not like you don't already know, but this is the head of the Dopey Nation. Okay,
No.
Dopey,
No, I just make a podcast.
Can you just stop?
I'm not the head of anything. You just make a podcast.
Oh my God.
I'm the head of my family. No, I'm not even that. I'm sorry.
I know, right? Your wife is the head of that family. Hello. Here's the situation. So his podcast is called Dopey. His listeners have sort of dubbed themselves the Dopey Nation. And it's people all over the country who look
All over the world.
who look to this guy to help them organize their sobriety, to help them stay connected. And it's a beautiful, welcoming community. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to be cool. You don't have to be
Sober.
You don't have to be
You don't have to be an alcoholic. You don't have to be anything.
right, so that you can just be. And that's a really special thing. It's unique in this world. So I would say your spirituality is in play. It's in action. You're not an imposter.
No, and I appreciate that. But you know what it's like when you have an idea of something and you don't, I want to be funny and I want to be crazy and I want the show to be these things, but I also want to have some kind of peace and order in my life.
Yeah.
But the two things are hard to align. And I also struggle, like they talk about practicing the principles of all of your affairs. And I definitely struggle with that.
What are the principles?
I don't know. There's a lot of principles.
And by the way, there's no in all, who can do anything all the time?
That's what I say. That's what I say.
Too much.
100%.
You try, we try.
We do our best.
Yeah. Listen, are you sober?
Yes.
Okay. Are you holding your meetings? Are you doing your show?
Yes.
You're being a good dad?
I do my best.
There for your wife.
I do my best.
What else?
I don't know.
What else is there?
Exactly.
I'm so glad you've come back on the show.
Did you have a good time?
I always have fun with you.
I always have fun with you too.
Dangerous fun.
The light in me is aware of the light in you.
Namaste.
Namaste, Cat Greenleaf.
Namaste, beloveds.
Namaste, Esteban and beloveds.
Namaste.
Namaste, Howie.
Hey, real quick, if our episodes, The Sober Life or Freedom from connects with you, share it with anyone that you think would also benefit. As a self-funded podcast, it would mean the world for you to rate and subscribe or follow our podcast whenever you can. This helps our team find new amazing guests and continue improving our episodes for you. Thank you so much.